Hi Financial Studies students. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. This video will give you tips on how to approach the Analyse question, which may appear in your written exam. This video will also show you an example of an Analyse question and an answer, and at the end there'll be a tip. These videos may also be of importance to you. I will put the link to them in the description box, as well as some resources to help you do well in your exams. The Analyse question may appear in both Unit 1 and/or the Unit 2 exam. They tend to be questions that appear quite a lot in written papers over the years, so do ensure you practice them beforehand. Now, the Analyse questions can be found in both the case study and the non-case study section of the written paper. If it appears in the case study section, then do make sure that your answer links explicitly to the case study and/or the circumstances of the individual or individuals in the case study. You will be marked down if you do not do this. Analyse questions could be 5 or 10 mark questions. For a 10 mark question, to gain over 7 marks, your answer needs to be fuller and detailed. You need to go beyond simply listing or describing and include a deep analysis of all the relevant points or factors at a consistently high level. For a 5 marker, you should include 2 or more relevant factors with good analysis that provides a full response to the question. For the 10 marker, this would need to be more detailed and developed, and you should aim to analyse 3 or more factors. For this type of question, you need to break the issue into parts. Look at it in detail. You could use connectives such as because, leads to, furthermore, to help. Look in depth at each part using supporting arguments for and against, as well as how these relate to each other. So you must use arguments that are for and against, looking at both sides for this type of question. Also, for this kind of question, do not waste time writing a conclusion. It's not needed. Let's look at some examples of Analyse questions for Unit 1. Analyse what might attract ORIC to use charity groups that provide debt advice if his debt grows. 5 mark question. Analyse the impact of changes in interest rates on Anna's choices to save or invest. So these were from previous written paper exams. Unit 2. Using examples from the case study, analyse the impact of the increase in fraudulent insurance claims on consumers' ability to purchase car insurance. That's 10 marks. Analyse the importance of each of the stages in the financial planning process, and that's 10 marks. So the second Unit 2 past paper question that we have there is not a case study question. So it does not require you to make reference to the case study. So we can even see how it's worded as well, that you are required to go into depth and ensure that you analyse the factors or the impacts and provide a balanced answer. So including arguments for and against. Now on to our Analyse question, and it's a 5 mark question. Feel free to pause the video if you'd like and attempt it, and we can work through it together. Analyse the effect a rise in inflation would have on a personal budget. 5 marks. Inflation is the sustained increase of the cost of goods and services and the fall in the purchasing value of money. A rise in inflation could illustrate that the economy is thriving. The Bank of England have a target of 2% for inflation and may intervene if the inflation rate has risen significantly above 2% or fallen below that. This could lead to reassurance to those that may be concerned that their personal budgets will be affected drastically by rising inflation. However, it does depend on the level of inflation and how much it has risen to. If it has risen by a small amount, then this would have less of an impact on an individual's personal budget. Now that was the first factor or effect that we've analysed. We'll go on to the second shortly. Now, hopefully you can see within the wording of the question that it asks us about personal budget. And also you can see in the answer that I'm tailoring the answer back to personal budgets as well. So not just focusing on a rise in inflation, but also homing it back into personal budgets. Let's look at the second effect. Another effect of a rise in inflation would be on savers. If interest rates are lower than the rate of inflation, then it would reduce the real return for savers. This may impact negatively on an individual that was relying on the return from their savings, and if they had factored this into their personal budget. This would result in them having less interest income received than they may have budgeted for. On the other hand, a rise in inflation may not be the only impact on an individual's personal budget, as other external influences beyond their control, such as a recession, may occur, which may impact on job security. Therefore, individuals need to have a degree of flexibility when creating and managing their personal budget. A final effect of an increase in inflation is that it will increase the cost of living. If wages are not increasing at the same rate, then this will reduce the purchasing power that individuals have for discretionary, essential, and even mandatory expenditure. This may lead to individuals having to readjust their expenditures on their personal budget. So that was a 5-marker. It's very important that you do practice these 5 markers, because 5 markers will definitely appear on your paper. Whether they will be analysed or not, 5 markers will be there. So do ensure that you use the resources in the description box as well. Now, hopefully you've seen that for this 5-marker, I've used the wording in the question as well. Now, you won't get any more marks for it, but it is good practice. The question asks you to analyse the effect, and I use wording such as another effect, a final effect. So using the wording in a question is going to be a bonus. It will help you to stay on track. It will also assist the examiner when they are marking through your questions. Remember, for the analyse question, you need to break the issue into parts, and you must look at arguments for and arguments against. You do not want to lose out on marks for that. Let's take a look at a tip. Now, we've discussed many tips in the video, but this is a top tip. Some case study analyse questions, so that's where you've got the analyse question in the case study section, are based solely on the contents of the case study. Therefore, you need to ensure that you are familiar with the case study and make good reference to it in your answer. Thank you for watching this video, and good luck with your studies. Top tip. So this is a tip I really want you to remember when it comes to these analyse questions that are found in the case study section. So where they're found in the case study section, it is very important that your answers are totally tailored around whatever's happening in the case study that's relevant. That's relevant to the individuals, that's relevant to the circumstances. You also might need to bring in some knowledge, but you really do need to focus on the contents of the case study. So it's very important that you are familiar with the case study and make good reference to it in your answer. Thank you for watching this video, and good luck with your studies.